Hi everybody, my name is Jami
My name is Louis.
and welcome to Ariyah's story. As some of you know, we're all Facebook friends with most of you. We know you guys personally, family, friends, etc. And we wanted to create Ariyah's story and the Facebook page, etc. because we've been through a lot these last couple of months. It's been really challenging, it's been rewarding, but we've just been so much that we wanted to be able to share it with you guys in hopes of just bringing awareness to Ariyah and her situation and our life. She was diagnosed with a cleft palate, so we hope to be able to connect with other people. Maybe you have a cleft baby, maybe you don't, maybe you just want to support us. Please support us because we always appreciate positivity, prayers, just awareness. You know, we have so much to say. We've learned so much in such a short amount of time that we feel like there's got to be people out there just like us that, you know, that needed help, that needed someone to connect to on this level, since it's been really just a whirlwind of stuff going on with us. And just to really talk about it. We're Hispanic, we're Dominican, and we've realized, like, in our community, in the Hispanic community, it's almost taboo to even talk about issues like this, especially if you have a baby with special needs or some sort of issue at all. And that's our baby in the background. We were trying to take advantage of her taking her little nap, but it is what it is.
Nap, no.
She naps sometimes, but
Not when I'm here. But overall, yes, it's just to bring that awareness to her, understand that babies, that it's been scientifically proven to do a lot of research on these things. So technology have really increased, really gotten crazy good with how they repair the palate, how they repair the lip, the gums and everything that is involving palate situation. So cleft situation. So overall, we want to bring that awareness. Anybody that needs questions, we have questions ourselves, so we want to bring unity to this circumstance, so that these kids feel just as loved as any other child. Because trust, they have same energy, they eat the same, they breathe the same. Everything is exactly the same, but it's just a cosmetic situation that if the average person looks at it, it's like, okay, that's not normal, but still treat them like a normal child. That's our goal overall, to help people understand that these kids are perfectly normal. So we basically found out via an ultrasound. So we went in for, what was it, like a third ultrasound or so, or second?
yeah,
Like
well,
a gender reveal, I believe.
well, before all of that, my pregnancy was really difficult. We have 3 kids, including Ariyah, and with each of my pregnancies, I throw up the entire time. I throw up, I can't eat, I lose so much weight. Just my nutrition overall is crap. I was on medication. They gave me, had to be 4 or 5 different ones. None of them really worked for me. And I stopped taking them, especially after we found out that she was coming with this issue. Like any parents, we were excited for the ultrasound. This was planned. We wanted to have another baby. We knew that we were done having kids, so we wanted everything to be a little extra special. We had a gender reveal, which was kind of a first for us. We did not know the sex of the baby, so we were so excited to go into the ultrasound. We had a few up until that point because of my sickness and they call it hyperemesis, is when you throw up a lot. So I had ultrasounds before, but they hadn't detected it up until I was 20 weeks pregnant, or about 5 months, when we went for the ultrasound to know the gender. But we were excited about it because they were going to tell us the gender, but we didn't want to know. So that was really what, like, our goal for that day was, like, we're going to see the baby again, like she's growing, or he or she, because we didn't know at the time. So we were excited, but that day, it was just a little weird because it took a lot longer than it normally would.
Yeah.
We've been through this before, and yeah, ultrasounds can take time, maybe like, 20 minutes or so. But this time it took forever, and we didn't really think nothing of it because we were just excited recording, like, oh, the baby moved, and, just focusing on that. Yeah, so we were so excited about it, so we weren't really thinking anything of it up until the ultrasound tech was done. And she's like, okay, so we have to discuss our findings. And at that point, something's wrong. She didn't look very content. And it was kind of like she didn't want to give us the news, but she really didn't know, like, what to say or how to say it to us, Basically, it started with her saying that she couldn't really visualize one of her kidneys. So that was one issue. They couldn't really visualize her spine all that well. Her heart was also an issue. They couldn't really visualize that. And it was a possibility that the baby had a cleft lip. Now, as you can imagine, we were just like shocked. Like at first, like, we didn't even know what to say. Like in my mind, I'm like, what are you saying? Like, what? Like, this was not how this was supposed to go, at all. But luckily, like, our doctors were on it. They referred us to a high-risk doctor, and then from there, the high-risk was going to do more work, more follow-up, etc. And we were just, like, frozen, because we're like, what's going on? Like, what? Like, for what? Like, this is crazy, Initially in the beginning of the pregnancy, they had asked if I wanted to take it's called a maternity 21, the blood test.
Right.
And that checks for, Down syndrome, trisomy 13, like all the different birth defects and stuff like that. And I declined it. I think I was like 7 weeks pregnant at the time. And the test was supposed to be at like 12 weeks, like somewhere around that range. And I declined it because I'm like, no, I don't need it. Like, I don't have anyone in my family that has, Down syndrome or has any genetic issues. I'm healthy, thank God. I haven't had any issues. My husband either. So I declined it. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, no, and we just didn't even think about it anymore. So now that this had come up in the ultrasound, they're like, you might want to reconsider, because usually when babies have a cleft lip or palate, it comes with some other issue. It could be genetic, it could be something. It usually comes with something. So you might want to get checked out. And it's a blood test. They do it right there at the office. It's called the Maternity 21. And we got it done. At first we were just so confused, but we got it. I got the blood test done, and we had to wait 7 to 10 days. In those 7 to 10 days, our life went from literally like 0 to 100. Like, we went from just a regular visit to now I had to see the high-risk doctor, and they got us in like, a couple of days later.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right away. So we met with that doctor, and then we had to meet. They referred us to see the craniofacial surgeons, which are the surgeons that fix the cleft lip and palate once the baby's born. Then they referred us to get I can't even think of the name right now, but it was pretty much like an echocardiogram, which basically checks the heart of the baby, because the heart was an issue. So we had to see that. It was just so many specialists, and we're like, what the heck? Like, we just went for the gender. We did not sign up for this. This was not part of the plan. This was the least thing in our minds, And the baby's awake. So if we like pause and hesitate, because the baby, But anyways, I was in bed all the time, and I thought, like, what else could I possibly go through? And then when this came along, it was just like icing on the cake. Like, I felt like I couldn't get out of one situation when we were hit with something else. And it was so stressful and scary, and we cried, and it's just so many emotions, of course. But we met with the high-risk doctor. He was super nice. They did an ultrasound on me, and he did confirm that the baby did have a cleft lip. That they could see. What they didn't know is if she would have a cleft palate, just because the palate is the roof of your mouth. So there's stuff up there, which they can't really pick up, that kind of information or diagnosis through the ultrasound. So we knew that she had a cleft for sure, the lip for sure, but the rest we would have to find out when she was born. Looking back, like, it sounds so easy, and it sounds like, it was just like from start to finish and everything was fine and we just went along with it. But it was really hard. It was really hard, and, the emotional aspect of it was really hard just because we didn't know. And we were going into the unknown, At this point, when the high-risk doctor confirmed she had a cleft, we still had a week until we could find out if she also had Down syndrome or trisomy 13, which basically with trisomy, which was our biggest fear, was that babies with that diagnosis, they don't make it. They don't survive, So on top of one thing, it's like, is our baby gonna die? Is that even a possibility? Like, are we really going through this? With Down syndrome and like genetic stuff like that, we didn't really worry about it because we feel like it's our baby. We're gonna love her regardless. That's not gonna be an issue. He did mention that at that point, like when we had seen him, he asked us if I wanted to do what they call an amniocentesis, which they basically go in with a needle and they remove fluid from, my uterus or whatever, and they check, to see other genetic issues, etc. And I declined it because there's a risk of the baby dying with that too. Women get it often, but I just opted not to do it because of the high risk. On top of the fact that we didn't know if the baby, was gonna survive. It was just a lot of decisions that we had to make real quick. And one of the things the doctor said is like, usually, you're further along, but usually, let's say if the baby does have trisomy or the baby does have Downs on top of this, would you want to terminate the pregnancy? But at that point, it would be too late. When he said that, that was not even an option to terminate for us because we were gonna
go fight through that. We're gonna go through it.
Yeah, we were gonna go through it. Like, that was just not even a question, But yeah, it was a lot. It was really a lot. Fast forward a week, we had already done the echocardiogram to check if her heart was an issue, and that came back fine, thank God. The high-risk doctor did check for her kidneys. That came back fine. Her spine came back fine. Like, everything else came back fine. The only thing was the cleft. And then we got the news that she did not have Downs. She did not have trisomy. She did not have anything genetic that could be picked up by that blood test. And we were so relieved. We're like, thank you, God. Like, that was one of my biggest fears, honestly, at that point for both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was a tough week. We had a tough month, really, because that's how long it took waiting. You don't get the test, waiting for return for results, and not knowing what to expect. Doctors did their best trying to say, hey, guys, this is we're telling you the information of what can happen, but just trying to always do what was possible. Always optimistic that everything was fine with the baby. And the ultrasound, as far as like detecting the lip, sometimes what we've heard from them is that if they can get a good angle, they can try to see if the baby has the cleft as well.
Yeah.
The palate as well on a certain angle in the ultrasound, but it's tough. And the baby, hated ultrasounds.
She did. She'd always cover her face. And mind you, we had ultrasounds left and right. Like, I would have ultrasounds every 2 weeks, every couple of weeks. And without fail, every time, like, they would visualize her face or try to look at her face, she'd be like this. And if she didn't have her hands, she'd have her feet up to her face, on top of having her hands covering her face. So it was just like... Yeah, it's like she knew. She's like, I'm not going to let you guys see my face. I don't care what you say. And it's just not going to happen. And whatever. Like, deal with it.
Same attitude that she had.
No, so...
She didn't care for having the picture or face looked at. They just... thank God that everything went... Yeah. Every little single blood test for the heart, test for everything, the organs... came out perfectly. Thank goodness. I was fully healthy. The only concern was just the cleft. And that, compared to anything else that she mentioned, that's okay. Excellent. But it's always better to educate yourself and know up front so you can have options moving forward.
Definitely. And we had to just make a lot of tough decisions. That we didn't expect to make. Not just that, is like wrapping your head around, my baby's coming with a defect. What does that mean? How am I going to take care of this child? You know, is she going to be loved? Absolutely. That was never in question. We just wanted to be able to provide the best quality of life, just like we would with our other kids too. We just didn't know, like, how are we going to take care of this baby? Like, all the information led to the doctor saying, you know, one of the things that you have to be aware of is that cleft lip is not just an issue with the lip or an issue with the palate. It affects other things too, such as her weight. She may not eat right. She may not eat at all. There are babies that have feeding tubes because they don't learn how to suction. Or, you know, how to suck and swallow, how to suck, you know. And it's things that you take for granted because you're like, suck, and like, what? Like, eat. We do this in our sleep if we had to, you know what I mean? Like, not literally, but you know what I mean? It's things that we don't really think about. We take for granted. It's like you put a spoon in your mouth and you swallow. The same thing with feeding your baby. You put the bottle in their mouth and they suck the milk out of the nipple and... That's it. Yeah, it's just like instinct, you know, like that's just what we're born to do. And that might be difficult for our kid. And we're just like, okay. So eating would be an issue. Her gaining weight because she wouldn't be able to eat as much or, you know, whatever might be an issue. Ear infections might be an issue because if you think about it, her cavity or, you know, at this point, it was just assuming that she would have a cleft palate as well, again, which is the roof of the mouth, is that if fluid goes up one of those cavities, that she could have fluid built up in her ears too. It can disperse into her ears. She would have ear infections. We would also have to work with a speech pathologist because they didn't know, which they'd help us with her feeding, but with her speech. When babies say their first words, they just say, you know, dada normally, which sucks for us moms, but that's a different story. No, that's a different story. But they say that maybe she wouldn't really be able to speak normally. It would take, you know, working with the therapist for her to even say her first words. So that's an issue too. Now we had to think about surgery. With our kids, our daughter, our oldest is 10 years old, and our middle child now, our boy, he's 3. We've been so lucky and we've been so just blessed that our kids are super healthy. We've never had to take them, I think maybe like once, and that was with my son. We've never had to really be in a hospital before. Our kids have never had surgery before. You know, they barely got sick. Like doctors, hospitals, let alone surgeons, like that was never our life. Like, and now it's like we have to talk to these professionals to determine what's gonna happen. You know.
Absolutely, and basically that's one thing. There's always that emotional aspect that definitely you deal with as a couple, and you definitely is important to talk. It's important to communicate as far as how you feel at the time, because that can affect not only yourself, it can affect your partner, it can affect the baby. We're very, very blessed that the folks that are in our team that help us out with this are great, good people. They care and they make it pretty genuine that they do care. They want the best for her, no matter what. Anybody else may think about what's better or anything like that. It's just about her, how she's reacting to things, and they call it Team Ariyah. So I love that. It's pretty awesome. There's some things that you just can't, like right now, you can't really express your full thought, your full, emotions as you want to. But the day that you would feel just like, dang, this shouldn't be happening, not to my baby. Just look at her and look out the way. She even smiles, the little girl. And just everything we went through and all the tests and everything like that, we came out flying colors, which is awesome.
Yeah.
We gotta be thankful always, all the time.
We are. We're definitely really thankful, and I get emotional just because, like, it sounds so easy, but it's been a hard road. I think for me, like, as a mom, it's so hard because it's like you have to take care of yourself, and I don't tend to do that because I think, like, like, oh, my baby, like, I think baby first, I think, whatever, and my kids and my family and, like, just so many things that were running through my mind. And on top of me being sick, like, I threw up, I couldn't eat, I had so many issues my entire pregnancy. My whole 9, 10 months, because it was really 10 months, I was sick the whole time, So on top of that, and feeling like crap, but still having to have energy to be a good mom to my other kids. And on top of that, like, in the back of my mind, my baby is having this issue and it's all up in the air. Like, we don't know. We don't know if this is going to happen or that's going to happen or the other's going to happen. Doctors could just warn us. So it's like the fear of the unknown. Like, is my baby going to be okay? As long as she's okay, we're okay. But you don't know that until you have this baby in your arms. And then, you thank the Lord, because obviously, like, it's not easy. It's not easy. And luckily for us, we have such a great support system. And I'm not going to say that we shared this with everybody, because we didn't. For the first couple of weeks, it was just me and Louis that knew, and that's it. Like, we barely told our parents. Like,
we were in shock ourselves. We didn't fully understand it, let alone try to explain it. And we wanted to actually really, really get a full. Like we said, it took a while to understand, and on top of that, cope. And like, dang, this is really happening, and wait for results and make sure nothing was bad. And gosh, it was tough, but I'm glad that we have such a strong team. And just having that by itself helps you in those situations, because you really have no idea what can happen. It's a matter of just sitting here and wait. Go do the analysis, go do the ultrasound, take the blood test, give the blood, and wait. And in the meantime, you're like, wow.
And we don't have all the answers. There's no right or wrong. If you have a baby that's coming, whether it's a cleft lip, whether it's whatever diagnosis that's not in the norm per se, give yourself time. There's no right time that you have to run off and tell the world, or, who cares about who gets mad, or why didn't you tell me? And, because yes, they're coming out of a place of love, but it's you and your life and your baby and your time of coping, because it's not a loss, but yes, it's an adjustment to your life. And things that you have to wrap your head around, emotions that you didn't even know were there because you never had to deal with it. We've never had to deal with anything like this in our lives, ever. And one thing is for us to get sick or for us to have an issue, but for our kids, like, we're so sensitive when it comes to that because just like anybody, they're our babies. And I felt helpless. As a mom, I felt helpless because I could not help my child. And at the end of the day, until this day, we don't know what caused the cleft lip and palate in her. She was born and she did end up having the palate as well. And it's pretty significant, and we're having issues with that. And we'll get into that some other time. But you feel helpless. You go through these months, trying to prepare the best you can, emotionally more than anything, and try to sustain yourself physically. And I think we've been pretty lucky that we've been able to just rely on each other because, without him, like, I don't know if my mentality would have been what it was. He's the positive one. He's like, it's going to be this, it's going to be okay. Like, don't worry. You won't ever see him sweat. He's like, no problem. Even though on the inside, I know things will be a little different, because...
Nah, I'm just kidding. Like, the best way to fight something is to think positively. And always understand that everything is going to be okay. And if you have, the closest people to you who are suffering, and nobody is going to go through more than the mom, as far as, through the pregnancy process and understanding and coping with emotions. And it's an amazing power to have. And she's been more than powerful, extremely powerful with all this. And it's extremely hard. I can just be here supporting, and understand and try to get understanding of how I can contribute and make this better. But at the end of the day,
you can't do it alone. It's okay to swallow your pride and ask for help. It's okay to say, I am sad as hell today. I'm depressed. I'm scared. I don't want to get out of bed. I'm in my feelings. Whatever it is, it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to, even ask, like, am I going to love this baby the same way as I love my other kids? And the answer is yes. You will.
Easily.
You will easily. They just have an extra special place in your heart and in your lives. And it's been challenging, but I feel like we've been put through this for a reason. And I'm grateful because now my baby's here. She's healthy. We have our struggles, which we'll get into, at another day. But she's here and we're a family. We love her. We love each other. We love our kids. And it's all going to be okay. I promise. It's going to be okay. And even now, like, that's something that, you just have to constantly just remind yourself, like, it's going to be okay. Those times where you're overwhelmed and you're frustrated and you're stressed out, it's going to be okay. Just talk to somebody. Please talk to us. Like, we want to be a resource for you. And if you can be a resource for us, please just reach out. You can comment on our video. You can private message us. You can, we want to make new friends here too, like, as far as if you're going through it, regardless of whatever your baby's been diagnosed with, we want to hear from you. We want to talk to you. We feel like Ariyah has come into not just our lives to make a difference, but in so many people's lives. And we're her voice, and if we can connect the dots to another person and bring resources to this community. We live in Florida and, in the Orlando area. And in this short amount of time, we've been able to just kind of pave a way a little bit already. And we hope to do more, So thank you guys so much for continuing to be our support group, for cheering us on, for cheering her on, for even asking questions. We don't get, embarrassed. Like, don't feel embarrassed, because we're not. We're not embarrassed or ashamed, or any question is going to be like, oh, you're getting too personal now. No, like, We're doing this to open the door to our journey and her journey, because we know we're not alone.
Every journey absolutely is different, of course, but in the end, it's the same goal. I'm going to make sure the baby gets the best over everything, over treatment, over care and things like that they require is love. They want to make sure that he's super loved, and we've been super lucky to have the circle that we have as far as family, friends, closest friends, and confidants that are around us. They're just amazing people who just are genuinely caring and love her to death like we do, and it's pretty awesome. It's awesome. That makes it feel so easy, because it's easy to say, my baby looks different than a normal baby, and people would think, hey, what's your baby? It's not about that. It's basically the baby's healthy, and those are things that can't be fixed. So it was a waiting game, but just don't feel like you're alone, because it's so hard and it's very challenging, but you can't get better as a person without a challenge in life. So
definitely,
it's something that we take too hard, and this is something that's changed our lives pretty heavily, because we've always been people who was always on our toes. We have 2 other babies, but a third one would definitely would put that on you and get you going.
For sure, and it's been an adjustment, just like it would have normally have been, as far as bringing a 3rd child into our family. And it feels natural to us at this point. And now that she's here, it's been such a short amount of time, but it's like, how was our life before her? Like, she's the perfect addition. Like, where would we be, like, without her now? Like, she fits right in. She's such a good baby. She's demanding as hell. Like, she wants her food. She gets hangry. Like, I don't know where she gets that from, but overall,
I have to deal with it not once, not twice, 3 times. With her, and the other her, to the oldest. They're all 3 of them. They all get it from her especially. But in the end, I deal with it. I'm okay with it. Not a problem. But, sometimes we argue, me and the baby. She's got attitude.
Right, and she has you wrapped around her little finger. So my husband is 6'4", and he becomes like this small. Whenever that baby cries, he's just like, oh, my baby, my this and that. Like any of our kids too. So he's
That's how I deal with it. Okay, you're welcome.
So thank you guys so much. Just please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. And Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks again for the support. And we'll get through this. We are Cleft Proud, and this is Ariyah's story.
Thank you.